I'm Jason UFC, and today we have a story about UFC president reveals the targeted location and time frame for Aljamain Sterling versus Sugar Sean O'Malley. Dana White is planning on making Sterling versus O'Malley a big event. UFC president Dana White wants to return to a northeastern location for the expected Aljamain Sterling versus Sugar Sean O'Malley fight. Sterling appointed the returning Henry Triple C Cejudo at UFC 288 to retain his bantamweight title, yada yada yada. After getting his hand raised, Sterling shared a face-off with O'Malley in the center of the octagon. The altercation, it wasn't anything. They were just talking. It was an altercation. It wasn't anything. Sterling versus O'Malley is most likely next for the UFC 135-pound bantamweight title, and Dana White is planning on another epic venue for the scrap. UFC targeting Boston pay-per-view for Aljamain Sterling versus Sugar Sean O'Malley. During his UFC 288 post-fight press conference, Dana White revealed that the initial target for Sterling versus O'Malley is in Boston, Massachusetts, for a UFC pay-per-view card that is, I don't think it's been scheduled yet, or who knows, but they're looking for August. While after Dana White's comments, O'Malley seemed on board with the idea of challenging for Sterling's bantamweight title in Boston. See you guys in Boston is what Sugar Sean O'Malley says. Okay, Sterling, in contrast, the champion said, didn't seem keen on the idea of facing Sugar Sean O'Malley in only 4 months. He says Aljamain Sterling learns that the UFC is targeting his bout against Sugar Sean O'Malley for August in Boston. Let me see what Aljamain Sterling says. I don't want to go to Boston, Aljamain Sterling said. Dana, I've been trying to fight in the T-Mobile for God knows how long. Boston's cool, but I want to go back to the West Coast. He's going to be your favorite. Sugar Sean O'Malley's going to be your favorite. There's a big Irish crowd over there, but it is what it is. Okay, I mean, it's kind of interesting. I did watch the post-fight press conference last night at UFC 288, and I've noticed this. I don't know if this has been a long time coming, but I'm an MMA casual, so I don't follow everything that happens. But what I remember, the rule of thumb was Dana White would not talk about fights after pay-per-views. They wouldn't want to make fights after pay-per-views. He didn't really enjoy questions from reporters when they say, okay, who's next for the person who just won the main event. They'd be like, hey, this person just fought like 20 minutes ago. Who knows who's the next one? We're not even considering that. But now, this year, after John Jones won versus Cyril Gane, Dana White said, hey, John Jones, Stipe Miocic is booked. After Leon Edwards defeated Kamar Usman, Dana White says, hey, Colby Covington and, Leon Edwards is booked, right? And now we have Sugar Sean O'Malley and Aljamain Sterling being booked, So it's like, it's a little bit interesting to me, to see the change. And, when they said John Jones versus Stipe Miocic, that was originally said going to be for International Fight Week, UFC 290. That's not going to happen. When they said Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards, that was going to be for a pay-per-view in July or August. That's not going to happen. And now, respectfully, Dana White is coming out and saying, we're going to schedule Aljamain Sterling versus Sugar Sean O'Malley in 4 months. Right, I know the UFC has had not problems with getting Aljamain Sterling to get more active, but from what I understand, Aljamain Sterling hasn't fought in 4 months since like either 2019 or like 2017. right? So I would be surprised. Aljamain Sterling last fight last year was in October. So it's been about 7, 8 months since he's last fought. Sugar Sean O'Malley's last fought was versus Piotr Jan. That was on the same card. Aljamain Sterling defeated TJ Dillashaw. Sugar Sean O'Malley defeated Piotr Jan. Some people say it was a controversial decision, but we haven't seen Sugar Sean O'Malley fight since last October. So I'm pretty sure he's ready to fight by, August of this year. But I would be, and like I said, I'm an MMA casual, so I have no idea what's going on, right? But I would be extremely shocked, unless the UFC goes to Aljamain Sterling with a crazy bag. But I would be shocked if Aljamain Sterling would be like, you know what, I'd rather fight in Boston in August instead of fighting, in in November on the undercard of John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. That card is happening in New York. Aljamain Sterling is from New York. So, I would be a little bit shocked to see Aljamain Sterling versus Sugar Sean O'Malley in August compared to being on the undercard of John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. To me, you got Sugar Sean in New York City. You have Aljamain Sterling in New York City. You have John Jones in New York. Stipe Miocic. That's a card people probably would rather see. But yeah, I still think Aljamain Sterling and Sugar Sean, it would do great numbers. It really would do great numbers in Boston. I would just, like I said, I would just be a little bit shocked to see Aljamain Sterling come back in 4 months and fight Sugar Sean O'Malley in Boston compared to coming back in, 6, 7 months and fight on the undercard of John. You know what I'm saying? If I'm in Aljamain's Sterling's team, I'm like, listen, no. Go to them, and you go, and we're gonna fight on the John Jones versus Stipe Miocic's undercard in Madison Square Garden. Like that's not even a question compared to going to Boston. Aljamain Sterling's from New York. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I'm gonna fight in New York City over fighting in Boston, and especially on the undercard of John Jones versus Stipe Miocic, which will probably be one of the highest, which will most likely be one of the highest selling pay-per-views of this year. And like I said, when John Jones defeated Cyril Gane, the UFC came out and said, hey, we're going to have John Jones versus Stipe Miocic International Fight Week. That didn't happen. When Leon Edwards defeated Kamaru Usman, at the post-fight press conference, the UFC said, hey, we got Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards. We're trying to look for that in August or late July. In the UK, that's not going to happen. So I would be shocked. Like I said, I would be shocked if, this post-fight press conference, we have breaking news that the fight with Aljamain Sterling and Sugar Sean O'Malley has been signed, sealed, and booked for 4 months from now. I expect to see Aljamain Sterling and Sugar Sean O'Malley on the undercard of John Jones versus Stipe Miocic in Madison Square Garden in New York City. But I am an MMA casual, so what the hell do I know? But I'm Jason, UFC. Today we had a story about UFC President Dana White reveals Boston, Massachusetts, August as the time frame for Aljamain Sterling versus Sugar Sean O'Malley. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the $1 donation button, and please tune in to the next video on this channel. Thanks a million for watching.